Thank you, Christina. And now we move back over to the opposition. And speaking second in opposition tonight is Miss Anoushka Kale. Anoushka is a second-year English undergraduate at Sydney, Sussex. She's the chair of the Cambridge University Liberal Association. She was also the Society's former campaigns officer and frequently canvassed for the Lib Dems. She's also the debates officer-elect at the Cambridge Union. Anoushka, you have the floor.
Clearly, because I feel like I was knocking around a bit with the... Okay, good. So I'm glad Christina mentioned liberalism, because you're about to hear a lot more on that from me. So most people love parties. I certainly do. And for me, this extends to political parties. Now, I do think many of us in this room would agree that there have been issues over the last few years of engagement with political parties. Years of failing Conservative government and ineffective Labour opposition have led to increasing disenfranchisement with voting and criticisms of the first-past-the-post system, which often renders voting for a third party futile. However, party politics is far from dead. In fact, it is crucial for our democracy. Political parties continue to organise like-minded people beyond single issues, provide opportunities for people to gain experience in and access to politics, and make it possible to enact the policies that voters want to see. So, we'd all agree that political parties are by no means perfect institutions, with even the most committed party members often disagreeing at times with party policy. There can never be a perfect connection between party leadership and its membership base, which has been particularly exemplified in recent years, with the division which the Conservative and Labour Party have faced, particularly during Jeremy Corbyn's troubled tenure and fickle Tory leadership. Yet, political parties are crucial to the functioning of British democracy, connecting disparate thoughts and concerns of the public to the political system in a meaningful way. For those who hold broadly liberal beliefs, the Liberal Democrats provide an opportunity for like-minded voters to unite on the issues we care about: rights of the individual and democracy, multiculturalism, LGBT+ rights, and health and social care. What will be many different, detached campaigns are centralised under a party umbrella, being brought together in a way that can meaningfully impact the political system. Even if you disagree with individual policies, which happens, parties bring together broader worldviews, putting together a shared vision for Britain's improvement, which its members can get behind. The alternative would be an atomised, aimless world of uncoordinated political action, with no shared and cohesive programme behind which people can gather in order to seize power and enact genuine change. Whilst raising awareness on crucial environmental issues, as Martha's already spoken about, in the process of doing so, activist groups like Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil have sparked widespread discontent and shaped negative public perception about these issues. Yes?
How can you say that party politics is this form of broad national cohesion when it's pitted against each other as parties for divisions, this fist fighting, and this kind of resemblance that builds universal national cohesion?
So all the parties don't need to be cohesive with one another. I mean, behind a party is a vision that people can get together behind their party. And I think it's good that parties are presenting different visions, that we can hold our leaders accountable, that we can vote and use our democratic power to support one of these visions instead of like everything at once or detached campaigns. So, sorry, back to my point. Whilst raising awareness on these crucial environmental issues, activist groups like Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil have sparked widespread discontent and shaped negative public perception about these issues. Green policy and environmental policy is far more effective when delivered through considered policies through the mainstream political system, the checks and balances, so it can be properly delivered, rather than through uncompromising disruption for years, which has led to quite little tangible change. No, thank you. Much of the genuine environmental progress we have seen in previous years has come from internal groups and political parties, like the Green Conservatives and the Green Lib Dems, rather than from external groups, although I acknowledge they have raised awareness to a lot of these issues. Think of the platform which political parties hold. The Liberal Democrats have been crucial in previous years in representing pro-Europe sentiments, civil liberties, and democratic reform. It is true, no thank you, that at times, all of the leading British parties have failed to deliver effective change on the issues which voters care about, but that does not mean that parties are a relic of the past. Pressing contemporary issues are not only addressed through activist groups, and Josh mentioned this, but leading calls for ceasefire in Gaza have also come from political parties, from the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, and the Green Party. And through their vote and their voting, members of the public can demonstrate their support and hold parties accountable for their policies. No thanks. Looking at the Liberal Democrat manifesto that released today, I'm filled with excitement, looking at a progressive list of pledges, including giving 16-year-olds the right to vote, recruiting 8,000 more GPs, net zero by 2045, and humanist marriage. Political parties allow for these policies to become raised at national level, gaining attention and facilitating the change many want to see integrated into government. Even if these policies are appropriated by other parties, echoing how the Labour Party did in fact adopt the Lib Dem policy on Gaza, following its popularity, these policies can become enacted. Political parties are also vital for engaging young people in politics, providing access and opportunity for students and young people to impact national issues. For me, joining the Cambridge University Liberal Association, where I'm now chair, was a way of finding a political family amongst similarly minded people and becoming engaged with politics at university, which is something I didn't think I'd do, alongside gaining an eclectic social environment. It's allowed me to connect and meet the local party, to speak to councillors, former and future MPs, like Pippa Halings in South Cambridgeshire, and Homerton people, of which there are many in this room, should vote Lib Dem in that constituency to beat the Tories. I've witnessed at a local level the connections that local councillors, that MPs have with their local community, and their dedication to campaigning for the issues which impact them. Far from being detached relics of the past, political parties bring politics into the day-to-day and are connected at a grassroots level. I see the work that local councillors do with regular canvassing sessions, with meeting and checking in with the environment, and continue to make sure the workings of power are more accessible and visible. Political parties create opportunities at every level, electing young people as MPs and councillors, propelled by youth wings like the Young Liberals, Young Greens, and Young Labour, which empower young people to push for change in their own parties. And I'm reliably informed that the two Young Conservatives nationally are also doing the same thing. Many of the arguments some of which Christina raised today, against political parties lie not with the political parties in and of themselves, but with the system of first past the post in which they operate. I agree, broader reform is needed in the functioning of our democracy, with lobbying groups and cronyism running rife, which has meant that two particular parties are given disproportionate attention in national politics. Whilst the Liberal Democrats got 11.5% of the vote in 2019, they only got 11 seats, which is a mere 1.7% of seats. This is also reflected in the operation of the House of Commons, where despite only representing 1.2 million voters, the SNP is awarded 2 questions every Prime Minister's questions, whilst in representing 3.7 million voters, Ed Davey receives none. This quantifies the systematic silencing of millions of voters and the challenges faced by the Lib Dems and Greens and parties like that in delivering change and scrutiny. It is unsurprising that some people tonight think that party politics has failed and that our only solution is to turn to other avenues and activist groups. Through a more proportionally representative system advocated for by the Liberal Democrats, currently underrepresented but widely held views, we are able to gain increased prominence in government through MPs, enfranchising voters once again. In a truly balanced parliament, parties will be forced to work cooperatively, fostering a less combative political culture, which I think is the aim of some of the speakers on proposition, through which adaptable policy can be effectively passed. Therefore, it is simply wrong to argue that party politics is dead when political parties are integral to our democracy and to ensuring governments can be held accountable by voters. If you want to change the world, it's not all about shouting and protesting in the streets. Whilst important, thank you, the only way to actually achieve concrete change is in a position where you can pass laws and create policy, and which is through the political system. Whilst I understand that politics at the moment for some can feel disconnected and empty, the blame does not lie with the existence of political parties, but with the democratic system they function in. A more proportionally representative system is the solution to ensuring that true sentiments of voters are accurately represented in politics, re-energizing the current state of party politics. Thank you.